Today I'm talking about Catholic family life, how in our family we incorporate and practice our Catholic faith. My husband and I are both Catholic, which is very helpful, especially for me. I knew I wanted to have a Catholic spouse because my faith is really important to me, and I just believe that the person that you marry greatly affects your life. I believe the man is the head of the household and he should be the spiritual leader of the family, and I'm very grateful that my husband is really active in his Catholic faith. This is not to discourage anyone that has a spouse that is not a faithful Catholic. I actually have a friend that I really admire. Her story is so incredible, and this is just a small piece of this, but she was raised Catholic but then fell away from the faith after she had children, inevitably came back to the faith because she wanted her children to be able to have faith. She knew she couldn't give them something that she didn't have. She had a really beautiful conversion story through praying the Divine Mercy Chaplet, and then she started praying for the conversion of her husband. Her husband, I believe, was always atheist, never had faith in God. After a few years of praying the rosary for him, he converted to the Catholic faith. He had such a massive conversion, became an incredible spiritual leader of their family. They went from contracepting to being open to life. They have 7 children. Their story is so incredible. That's just a piece of their story of what God's done for them. Never be discouraged if your family life doesn't look like what I described my family life to look like. My family life, a lot of the reasons why we're successful as a family, I believe, is because my husband also was chasing his faith like me, and in a lot of ways was farther along in his faith than me. He and I met through a Catholic young adult group, so we already had that Catholic foundation together, which was a huge benefit to us, and I think is a blessing. And I would highly recommend getting involved in your local Catholic community to make friends, because it is so great to meet someone, if you haven't met someone yet, that is Catholic. But if you are married to someone that isn't Catholic, do not be discouraged. God can do anything. Also, don't have that expectation that they have to convert for them to be fulfilling God's will as the spiritual leader in their house. Just pray for them, which goes to my first tip, which is pray for your family, pray for your spouse. That is your job. And if you are single, 100% be praying for your future family and your spouse. I prayed every day the rosary for Matt before I ever met him. I just would say, this rosary is for my husband, and I would pray every day for my husband. And I knew he needed the graces because I knew that we hadn't met yet, and I figured that he probably had some things he had to work through before he met me, and I knew I probably had things that God wanted me to work through before I met him. So I would always pray for us. I would always pray for our marriage because I knew I was called to marriage. I was really confident. God had been very clear with me that was my vocation, so I wanted to make sure that I was praying for that. Pray unceasingly. I really believe in the power of prayer. I think that we will never understand how powerful prayer is until we die, and the Lord shows us how incredible prayer has been in our lives. I've seen glimpses of it. I've been blown, actually not even glimpses, I've been blown away by the effects of prayer in my life. I made a video about praying the rosary every day and how it changed my life. I've made 2 different videos on that. I have been praying the rosary now for 6 years, this past May, every day. It's been an incredible blessing in my life. I've actually upped my game to about 3 rosaries a day. I just love the rosary. I'm almost like an addict for the rosary because it just brings me so much peace. It gives me so much joy in my life. I really truly believe I'm not only meditating on the Lord, I'm inviting the Lord into my day by praying the rosary, and I'm putting all my thoughts and worries and needs to the Lord in a very powerful meditative prayer. I really believe the rosary is one of the most powerful prayers you can pray, especially since I've seen so many beautiful benefits from it. I pray every day for my family without ceasing. And the way I get those 3 rosaries in, I have a video about how to make the rosary a daily habit. I will link it in the description box below, especially since I'm a mom of 2 under 2. I have 2 small babies. The way I'm able to get my rosaries in is I have on iTunes the rosary pray along. There's tons of great YouTube videos for pray alongs. I made some pray alongs, but my pray alongs are the rosary novena, so the prayers are a little tiny bit different. I pray the rosary all day, every day, and I just love it. It brings me so many blessings and peace and so much grace. I can't recommend praying the rosary enough. There's this saying, before you talk about it, pray about it. And I really believe that, especially when it comes to family life. It's so important, especially if you're upset. Before you take your emotions out on your spouse, pray to the Lord. Ask him to help you see the situation clearly. Let the Lord know what you're upset about. Pray the Lord helps you see the situation clearly. Pray for your spouse to have whatever graces they need to overcome whatever's bothering you. You will will feel better, you will feel less activated, and then you'll probably be able to be given more charitable words as to how to express your hurt or your grievance, or God will help resolve the issue in your heart and you won't need to bring it up at all. I am all about communication and expressing yourself, letting your spouse know what you want and need. Your spouse can't read your mind, and they're not made to read your mind. God didn't give them that gift because he doesn't want them to have it, probably for good reason. Made myself laugh there. Can't expect your spouse to read your mind. If there's something you need or want from them, you need to communicate those things. But if you're really upset, my recommendation is always to pray about it. Go to God about it before you talk about it, because 99% of the time, it's not that I don't need to bring up the things that I'm going to God with, but a lot of it isn't. It's not always necessary to talk about everything. It's important to support your spouse in their faith. My husband and I make it a point to give each other time to go to adoration, to go to prayer, to go to confession. Sometimes we'll go as a family, but because we have 2 small sons, a lot of times we like to give that one of us the opportunity to just go by ourselves, because it's a lot more of a prayerful experience, a lot more of a peaceful experience when we go to confession or adoration by ourselves. We try to make it an open door policy. Whoever needs to get to the sacraments, we support each other. My husband leads a Bible study. I support him in that. I go to a Catholic Women's Book Club. My husband supports me in that. We really do support each other in our faith and try to encourage each other in our faith. That means allowing them to have the time to be able to put in individually to their faith, not just with the family. You need to have a strong relationship with God on an individual level on top of having it with your family, but I don't think it can be as strong with your family if you don't have it for yourself. Another aspect of Catholic family life that I think really helps our family is that we have Jesus in every room of our house. I have a crucifix in every room of my house. I have multiple crucifixes in many rooms of my house. I will show you some clips of my house and what it looks like, but Jesus is everywhere. The Blessed Mother is everywhere. I think it's so important to have opportunities to connect with the Lord. Sometimes when you're living your day-to-day life, it's easy to forget to turn to the Lord, but because I have these physical present reminders, these images of Christ, it helps me remember to turn to the Lord, to sit at his throne, to sit at his feet, pour my heart out to him, especially in the hard moments or in the moments that I just feel like I can't do it all myself, because I can't. Knowing that God's giving me the grace I need and turning and looking at the crucifix and knowing that he's with me in these moments, little moments of suffering, is so powerful to me. I can't recommend enough finding beautiful Catholic art that you love, that brings joy to you in your home. I think it's so important to have Jesus all over your house, and I believe that having Jesus everywhere also spiritually protects your home. On top of that, it's really important to get a blessing from a priest, get your home blessed. Your home is, I always think of our home as like my little nest. I'm like a mama bird and this is my nest, and it brings me so much joy having the religious items and having a home that makes me happy and feels harmonious and works for our family. Then on top of that, a home that we pray in together as a family. Having a family practice of prayer is so important for your family, and I think so important for forming the faith life of your children. It's really beautiful and beneficial for your children to see you and your husband, family together collectively practicing their faith, and it needs to be more than just going to church on Sundays. I grew up in a family of 6. I have 4 siblings. My siblings are varying degrees of faithful, from me being very faithful to being moderate, lukewarm, and not faithful at all. And I do believe, like my parents, we went to church on Sunday every Sunday. My parents did a lot of charity volunteer opportunities. They volunteered a lot at our church, but we did not have a family prayer life. And I do believe, like, one, I think our faith is on us, especially as adults, to continue and cultivate. But I do believe having prayer as a part of a daily life that your children see and see you go through the motions of turning to God in everything teaches them how to have a relationship with the Lord. Going to church on Sunday will not teach you how to have a relationship with the Lord. It really won't even teach you faith, because I feel like, especially Catholic Mass, it's so beautiful. There's so many graces, but if it's not explained, like what's going on, I think a lot of times people can miss the beauty because they just see the formality without all the graces and the beauty and the physical presence of Jesus and the mystery and the mysticism behind all of that, and the veil of heaven and earth lifting. The absolute incredible opportunity is to be in the physical presence of Jesus and receive him. I think it can be easily missed if our eyes aren't open to be able to see those things. And then on top top of that, if you're not taught how to cultivate a daily relationship with Jesus, pray consistently, be in relationship with Jesus, what we're filling our time with every day is what the world looks like, especially for our children. For me, as a child, I watched a lot of TV. I was getting a lot more culture and worldliness than I was getting information about God, even though I went to Catholic school. Catholic school, depending on how good the Catholic school is, my grammar school, my K through 8 school was incredible. It was a very good Catholic school. They really did try to instill the faith in us the best of their ability. My high school was a Catholic school, but it was Catholic in name only. It was definitely not Catholic by practice or education at all. That being said, I'm not sure even if it was super religiously Catholic, I would have gotten a lot out of it because I was pretty wayward at that point. I really ascribed to culture more than I ascribed to God. And I do believe part of that is because my life was way more filled with culture and society and TV and media than it was with prayer and learning about the Lord, cultivating a relationship with Jesus. So for me, modeling what living a life with Jesus looks like is very important to me, and I know it's important to my husband, and that's why I think having family prayer that we're praying along together as a family is really important. We have our family rosary that we say about 3 to 5 days a week, depending on the week. We try to do it every day, but realistically we get it done 3 to 5 days a week because I think it's important for our kids to see us praying and learning how to pray. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you here. If you have any thoughts about cultivating a Catholic family life, I'd love to hear it in the comments below, or if you have any requests for other videos, I love getting your ideas. I really love chatting with you guys.